So people move to Louisville expecting to love the schools, the downtown, and really enjoy why it's named one of the best places to move in the US. But they get here and they realize that's not why they stay. They stay for an entirely different reason. We're gonna find out why in a minute. I'm Michael with Lovato Properties, and I'm diving into some of the great towns in Boulder County. And at the top of that list is always Louisville. So here we are, and we're gonna explore all those answers, why people stay in Louisville. Let's go. So in today's video, I'm not gonna go through a list of the schools, the restaurants, the amenities. I'm not just gonna dig into what you probably already know or found online. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and paint the picture and share with you what it's like to actually live here. A day in the life of a Louisville resident. That's what we're aiming for. We're gonna explore everything from cost of living to schools, to parks, recreation, daily life. It really is a full guide, but that's not all. Here we go. When people first see Louisville live, the impression isn't, wow, it's beautiful, it's amazing. What they really think is, oh, okay, I can live here. I can see myself in this community. And the reason is, it's got those tree-lined streets, the older neighborhoods. It's got the vibrant and revitalized downtown. All of that it has. Of course, it's got the parks and schools. But what it really has is this amazing location with this amazing community. So speaking about location, I'm just gonna share with you. It sits in southeast Boulder County. And what that means is you're right on the turnpike, so you can go from Boulder to Denver very easily. Probably 15 minutes to most spots in Boulder, probably 30 minutes to Denver. That means you can meet friends out in Denver and hang out and work in work in Boulder. And then also, you're about 35, 40 minutes to DIA. So if you're traveling, it's very convenient. But being here, situated in this spot, it gives you all the access you want. We'll find out more about that here in a minute. So quick history, because I always feel like it's interesting to understand how a town began. Well, in the early 1800s, there were coal mines all underground throughout here, and that's how Louisville first popped up. Coal mines underground, much of which still there, obviously not being mined, and they're obviously now inactive completely. But it's a neat piece of history about how this town grew up. In fact, there's some other history that's kind of cool. There's even a speakeasy that has a tunnel underneath the downtown streets here. I don't think you could go in it, but you could still go into the basement. Fun stuff, lots of history here in Louisville. So let's talk about what it actually feels like to live here. And I don't mean like all the towns that are awesome on a Saturday, but kind of lame during the week. This town, on a Tuesday, for example, is pretty vibrant. Here's what it might look like. Maybe you're popping over to Moxie Bread or Huckleberry, grabbing some breakfast, coffee, or even this little secret spot here, Giovanetti's. Great coffee, almost overlooked unless you're a local. So that could be your morning start. And then maybe you pop in and you drive somewhere, you drop kids off at school, you get to work. And then when you are on your way back, you decide that you want to hit Davidson Mesa, go for a nice hike, take the dogs for a walk. What a spot. Or you're going to community park, just chilling, hanging out, doing that picnic life, whatever your kind of day-to-day is. But this happens during the week. And then if you're thinking, all right, I've got to go for the rest of my day, you don't have to drive because you can just walk downtown here. So many great restaurants. You want to go out to eat, options galore. I mean, some of the personal favorites, obviously Pica's over there on Front Street. You've also got Verde, which is here just down the street from where I'm standing. Great tacos at either place, but those are just the tips of the iceberg. So many great spots for those evenings out. It's really a livable spot. And I just mentioned walking out to dinner, and I'll have to say that walkability is one of the major highlights when you live here in Louisville. And this goes for people that live over here in the neighborhoods and their kids walk to school or walk to the park. That's a huge perk, but also just walking, being outside. Louisville does this extremely well. And I mentioned Davidson Mesa. Well, just across the street from McCaslin, we have Harper Lake, another great spot. Harper Lake, Davidson Mesa, great spot to be out enjoying that Colorado weather, Colorado activities. But that's not all. You've got the Coal Creek Trail that rolls through town as well. Take you out to Lafayette. Great spot to go on your gravel bike, go for a walk, take the dogs out. So all of that walkability is a little bit more lifestyle oriented. And then the walkability down here, you say, hey, what night of the week is it in the middle of summer? You're gonna see kids riding with their friends on bikes, walking with their friends throughout town, just cruising, meeting up. This is just a super outdoor engaged walking community. I have to say that a few times because it's really true. Let's talk about downtown itself, downtown Louisville. I'm here on Main Street, and Main Street is not a massive undertaking. It is one of the thoroughfares here, Main Street, Front Street, that really provide a lot of great options for retail, restaurants, hanging out. Let's talk about the Sweet Cow that shares space with Lucky Pie. Who doesn't love ice cream and pizza? Well, right there, two locally owned spots that have incredible offerings. And then just down the road, I mentioned Pika's, they're great as well. And then you've got also other stuff as you roll through here. You've got Pour, Waterloo, these great restaurants. And I mentioned the ones that I hit up often, and I'm not even a Louisville resident, but coming out here and walking to those places downtown is just a rich lifestyle. Then if we look at some of the retail, well, of course, you can pop over here and go to Acme Fine Goods. That's a great spot, locally owned, 7 years in the business as of 2026. Eric owns that shop and he'll get you outfitted in clothing. Really a great spot. They take care of their customers and they really represent that local community feel. So if you pop down just next door to Eric's shop in Acme, you'll see Eleanor, a great women's shop, a boutique where you can go in and get some fine goods. These are just a couple ideas that retail. Let's talk about other stuff though. When you're in Louisville, what about summer times at the farmer's market? Or the community concerts, or one of the best things ever, the Louisville Street Fair. That street fair, it takes place on Front Street and it's awesome. You'll hear people throughout the summer saying, hey, see you Friday night. And you can pop in there and enjoy all those great offerings there at the street fair. And there's one more thing. It's hot, it's summer right now, but in the wintertime, you can go down there and it converts right there on Front Street into an ice skating rink. How cool is that? So I'm gonna give you the insider tip, and I'm not gonna say local because I'm a local Louisville resident, but local because I'm a Boulder County fan, and I come in here and I enjoy this. If I were to give you the perfect little Louisville Tuesday, for example, here's how it begins. You wake up and you cruise over to Davidson Mesa and you do a nice jog. That's how I spend the morning, waking up, doing a jog. Then I pop back down here, I hit Huckleberry, I grab a nice baked good and a coffee, I bounce, I go home. Maybe the kids want to go out, so I take them right across to the park, we'll say community park. And then we roll out there, enjoy the time, get in some outdoor time, and then boom, it's off to school for the kids perhaps. Unless it's summertime, they get to go do something else. But then if I keep rolling Tuesday, where it's just so enjoyable, I would probably sync up a little bit later and say, hey, let's cruise around downtown. Since it's Tuesday, Taco Tuesday at Pika's. I'll just get in there, grab a margarita, have a couple tacos. They have special pricing on those tacos. Trent at Pika's, they do a really great job. You can also do anything else. Burritos, they don't go on special on Tuesday though. And then you take that and you roll right out of that energy into cruising down the street to Sweet Cow. The kids obviously love that. I love that. Who am I kidding? Ice cream, who can beat it? That's how you close out the day. Pretty mild. But what if you have friends in town and you're like, hey, I'm not ready for the evening to end? Go to Waterloo, listen to some music, drink some more beer, or non-alcoholic. Whatever your pleasure is, you got it here in Louisville. So now let's talk about housing, because let's be honest, we're talking about, can I live in this town? I think a lot of people make the mistake when they're considering Louisville to just say, oh, it's just a less expensive Boulder. But that really does not tell the picture. It's not. First off, the expense of Louisville has come up. We're gonna address that here a little bit later on. But when we talk about what you're getting, what the neighborhoods are like, it's very diverse. In a smaller town, you've got something like Steel Ranch that has newer builds. It's right off South Boulder Road. It's very more modern, some more townhomes, smaller lots, very different. And then you've got the North End. It's got its own feel. You've got Coal Creek Ranch, completely different, where again, they're newer build, newer subdivision, just a totally different flavor. And then of course, where we are now, Old Town. This is an area where you'll find a traditional 1,000 square foot single level ranch, great location, super walkable, but a little bit more humble. And then just next door, that home has been converted into a 2,000 or 2,300 square foot masterpiece, beautiful home, 2 stories, gorgeous finishes, and that is how this entire zone is spelled out. But then there's still more. You can go back out into these neighborhoods around Harper Lake and even down as you push over towards Davidson Mesa, larger homes, a whole different feel. That area was very greatly affected by the fires in 2021. And so you can see again, some really nice quality new builds up in that Harper Lake area. But throughout Louisville, you're gonna find the neighborhood and the community feel. It permeates throughout the entire zone, no matter what house you're in. So let's talk about the cost. Here in town, you will find that it isn't cheap. I'm not saying you're coming here from Boulder to find this great deal. The prices in Louisville have already boomed. So you're gonna spend a little bit more probably than you think, and definitely it's sort of that second most expensive area, I would say, in Boulder County. Now, we're talking about the homes I addressed earlier. A single family, smaller home, you can still get a reasonable cost under $800K. But when you look at some of those others, double in size, modern finishes, we're talking $2.2, $2.3 million. And some of the homes are right in the middle there, in that $1 million range. So here's a question for you, and I'm super curious. If you had to choose, would you rather have a bigger home with more driving time or a smaller home closer to the neighbors and you can walk everyone? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear what your preference is. Now here's a great story about some buyers who came to us a couple years ago looking to be in Louisville. They only cared about Louisville, and they knew that they needed to buy the house planning for when they had kids. 2 people, Louisville, that's the criteria. We saw everything, and guess what? We took a couple years. Yes, 2 years until we found that ideal place. That was how important Louisville was to this couple. And I'll give you the spoiler. They have 2 kids now. They live in the same house they settled on, and they love it. I don't see them moving anytime soon. So let's talk about the schools here in Louisville. Well, guess what? If you have kids that are of school age, you're gonna love it. It is part of that Boulder Valley School District, has that really high quality education, great rankings across Colorado. And in BVSD right here in Louisville, you have great access. Louisville Middle School, Louisville Elementary School. Those are the walkable schools that are right here in town. But then also outside of that, just on the edge of Louisville, you can look at Monarch. Now Monarch K-8 and Monarch High School, they're on the edge of town. Great spots. People just love these 2 schools. And then if you just kind of get a little bit more info, I'll say this. Preschools, all the private stuff, all that secondary stuff is in your favor because, again, good people living in a good town creating good businesses. So there's that. And I'll just close by saying, because Boulder Valley School District is so great, you can also choose to go to, for example, in high school, Centaurus High School, which is in Lafayette, but it's close enough that you're only about a 10-minute drive from most spots in Louisville. So schools here really end up being a highlight of why you live in this town. So if you talk about commuting here, here's the great news. Really easy access from Louisville. If you want to get to Denver, 30 minutes, you can pop on McCaslin to 36 or right out to 95th, get on the Northwest Parkway or onto 36. Either way, 30 minutes to Denver for work, fun, a ball game, whatever you want. And then what about if you're living here, enjoying this, but you work in Boulder? 15 minutes, easy shot down South Boulder Road or down 36. You do want to watch that timing because a lot of people don't realize that many people work in Boulder but don't live there. So you will watch because that traffic backs up on 36. Be mindful of that. And I would say if you have the option, go a little bit north and take one of our roads in that way, Baseline or South Boulder Road. Good little tip, but commuting, it's built for it here in Louisville. So who is it right for here in town? Well, that's a great question. The list is pretty broad, but I would say if you're a family, this is gonna be a great spot. If you're relocating from out of state, great landing spot. If you're wanting sort of that proximity and easy access to mountains, great. This is your spot. If you are looking for that, get out of a big city, get to Colorado and be in a community that's small, this is your spot. And then if we flip that coin and we say, well, who's it not right for? Well, guess what? If you wanna be in a mountain town, no, this is not that Colorado. That mountain town is in the mountains, or at least in the very, very edge of the foothills. So it's not right for that. It's also not right necessarily for the folks who want a booming nightlife. If you want that booming nightlife, you're gonna have a few options, but realistically, you're not. You need to get to Denver. So that's who it's not right for. And also people that just have an expectation that they're gonna get huge, beautiful, big subdivision, massive house, and very affordable. That's not right here. That's elsewhere. So I'll say this, Louisville doesn't win people over immediately. It usually wins them over after they realize just how easy life got, just how good it got, how great the community is. So if you're considering a town like Louisville or Lafayette, Superior, Boulder, any one of our amazing Boulder County locations, you should reach out. We love helping people figure out if it's the right town for them and then where in town they'd like to be. I'm Michael with Lovato Properties. Just reach out and we'll get you going on your own personal tour.